everything's bloody done. Go follow, guys. Let's go.
Welcome back, my friends. You know, I've been thinking about something. It seems like nowadays you have to find the Halloween spirit. But back in the 90s, the Halloween spirit found you. In fact, you were bombarded with it. From commercials to TV specials to trick-or-treating, and it was glorious. As you can probably guess, I'm feeling nostalgic about Halloween in the 90s. That brisk feeling in the air, the smell of leaves burning in the distance, the smell of apple cinnamon and pumpkin spice. Sure, today you've got entire stores that pop up during October and even before that. In fact, I'll take you to a cool local store I visited recently. But overall, Halloween feels very corporate now. Corporations have always had a hand in the way we view Halloween, and that's not always a bad thing. You know, because back in the old days, they used to put the effort in, and it was awesome. It's just that they don't put that same effort in now, and it sucks. But you know what? I believe Halloween is what you make it. So instead of moping around, letting this feeling defeat me, I'm going to investigate. To get this started, let's go to a few stores to see if the Halloween spirit is still alive. Along the way, we'll dive into that one-of-a-kind 90s vibe that we took for granted back in the day. First up is Johnny Brock's Party Store, sometimes known as Johnny Brock's Halloween Dungeon Party Warehouse. I like the second name better. It's very similar to Spirit Halloween. Immediately, you're greeted by these huge animatronic machines. It gets the mood going even before you've stepped foot inside. I enjoyed looking through all the different lawn decorations they had. This is for the dedicated Halloween enthusiasts, you know, the people that go above and beyond, God bless them. You know what, $500 isn't that bad for an animatronic this big, you know what I mean? I took my family around to different neighborhoods where we searched for houses that had Halloween decorations up. To our surprise, it seems like this tradition is alive and well. It really brings a smile to my face seeing all the creative ways people are showing their passion for this holiday. It spreads cheer and happiness to anyone who drives by. I'm so glad that people still do this. Back in the 90s, entire neighborhoods would participate in trick-or-treating. I remember it didn't seem like there were set hours for this, but people usually stopped between 9 or 10 p.m. One year my dad filmed us going door to door for candy, and even though the lighting was not great, I love seeing this footage. You can feel the Halloween vibes through the screen. One guy in my neighborhood is going all out this year. This dude has not forgotten what makes Halloween so special. Seriously, I wonder how long it took him to collect all of those animatronics over the years. We passed by his house twice, and both times he pushed the fog button for our benefit. I salute you, sir. Anyway, back to Johnny Brock's. Does anyone else remember these fake cigarette and cigar props? I had one when I was a kid. You blow gently on it and dust particles come out, which makes it look like smoke. I also used to have this slide-in dagger. I made a lot of homemade horror movies when I was growing up, so this was an essential prop for me. They have a huge selection of costumes. You've got your modern stuff, of course, Wednesday, Cobra Kai, Squid Games. This is definitely the year of Beetlejuice, as you'll see throughout my journey today. You know, nostalgia is playing a big part of our modern Halloween times. When I was a kid, I loved searching through the prop section. This item would have caught my eye immediately back then. The generic stuff always drew me in for some reason. I guess my imagination went wild making up backstories for these types of costumes. The knockoff items are my favorite, like this Deadpool ripoff. Deathpool Assassin. I love it. My costume of choice for many years was Batman from the Tim Burton movies. I also loved Power Rangers. I remember making cutout masks for my friends so that we could do battle against putties in my backyard. A shrine for Beetlejuice, and a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street. I really want that mask on the left though. I love the generic werewolf mask, and these gloves are amazing. I'm happy to report that Ghostface is alive and well. Scream really hasn't died down since its debut in 1996. The couple's costume section was my favorite part of the store. You got avocado and toast, a pair of shoes, taco and hot sauce, and for those third wheel situations, you've got the s'mores ensemble. Poor guy. Anyway, this place was a lot of fun. The owner was cool and she let me film to my heart's content. So anyway, give it a visit if you're ever in the area. I stopped by Michael's because my wife said that they would probably have a lot of Halloween stuff. Unfortunately, she was wrong. Aside from some mediocre lawn decorations, they really didn't have a lot going on. I did like this potion prop though. You shake it and it looks like smoke is emanating from the inside of it. They had some Halloween towns you could display. I like this one a lot, actually. It goes in circles and lights up. I might have to go back and grab that one. How much do you think an 8-foot tall skeleton costs? Would you pay that? I headed over to a Goodwill to see if I could find a Halloween shirt for a good price. They didn't have any, unfortunately. And this helmet was awesome, but yeah, anyway, I'm getting distracted. I guess I was hoping that I'd see some vintage Halloween decorations, but ultimately what they had was very underwhelming. Now, I always check out the physical media section of any thrift store I go to. As far as Halloween movies, not much to speak of. This location had the weakest selection I've ever seen at a Goodwill store. You know, before streaming, we had scheduled programming, so all the content that would play during this time would be horror film reruns and Halloween-themed episodes. Now that we can choose to watch anything we want on any streaming platform we want, the choice is up to us whether we're in a Halloween mood or not. Everyone seems to talk about Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark when it comes to beloved 90s kids horror. I don't see enough people giving love to one of my favorite shows from that era, Erie, Indiana. In celebration of Halloween, I want to briefly talk about the Halloween episode from this one-season series. The episode is called America's Scariest Home Videos. In it, the main characters, two neighborhood friends named Marshall and Simon, are stuck at home on Halloween. They're tasked with babysitting Simon's little brother. The little brother gets sucked into the TV and mayhem ensues. There's a mummy that comes through the TV and all sorts of cheesy goodness. It's a cozy Halloween-themed episode that represents that 90s vibe really well. Check it out if you haven't seen the show before. It's a treat. I have to stop at Walmart and get some fruit for my wife, and you know, maybe Walmart will surprise us. Maybe they have some interesting Halloween decor. We'll see. Did anyone even see the latest Exorcist movie? That movie was in and out of theaters in the blink of an eye. Well, there's no doubt about it, this Halloween season is ruled by Beetlejuice, a movie that debuted 36 years ago. And I know it makes sense seeing as the sequel is doing even better than the original. This glow-in-the-dark DVD pack was pretty random. Gremlins and Beetlejuice? Okay. Anyone remember the Beetlejuice animated series? I think I saw an episode or two back in the day. The Halloween-themed cartoon episodes I remember the most are from Bobby's World and Eek the Cat. Specifically Bobby's World, where Uncle Ted comes over and helps Bobby make a tunnel of terror and charges the entire neighborhood good money for it. Such a great episode. In Eek the Cat, I remember that Eek meets a little ghost that's, for some reason, also a balloon. I remember after I watched it, I made my own ghost balloon and hung out with it all day. I was a lonely child sometimes. Also, shout out to Tales from the Crypt Keeper. I loved that show back in the day. I found this badass Ninja Turtle shirt that included an eye mask with it. Overall, though, the Halloween spirit was pretty muted here at Walmart in terms of decorations and stuff like that. I think the saddest thing is that none of the cereal brands have any Halloween-themed boxes this year. That's disgraceful. In the 90s, it seemed like every brand participated in seasonal commercials that celebrated the holidays. It was like every commercial during that time had a spooky, cheesy Halloween angle to it. It would get me so excited and pumped for the holiday. Today I don't see any Halloween commercials, even though there are so many ads on various platforms. But maybe that's just me, you know. Do you see Halloween ads when you're watching TV? Are they any good? I remember there would also be a push for Halloween-themed toys and products from fast food companies like McDonald's and Burger King. Back in the 90s, Halloween really started at school. You know, you'd see those cutout decorations with witches, ghosts, and pumpkins. I personally love those generic Halloween totems. Maybe it's the way they were so lovingly drawn and colored. There were special Halloween-themed books that my school would have on display. I remember the Berenstain Bears had a spooky book that I used to love. Yeah, I know, it was Berenstain Bears in a different universe, but what can we do? Now, I know my fellow 90s kids are going to remember this book series, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. They made 3 of these, and I've got all 3 here. My wife and I love these, and back in the old days, when schools were more adventurous, they had them out in the open and we could pick it up, take it home, read it, and I remember doing just that and getting freaked out. The drawings in it are actually very, I don't know, terrifying. I remember the dead man's brains. I remember there was this one about this girl who had a pimple, and it turned out that there were spiders inside of it, and they burst out, and it was just, that one is disgusting. It's disgusting to this day, and I love it. If you remember these, let me know in the comments section which one is your favorite, and I'd love to talk about this. I remember in school we would end classes early and walk around in our Halloween costumes on the playground. One year my sister was a cowgirl in the parade. I wasn't in school yet, so I stood by as Superman watching on the sidelines, excited for my time to shine as one of my favorite superheroes one day. Now here's an obscure bit of nostalgia for you. Did anyone ever get their hands on this spooky sound effects cassette back in the mid-90s? I don't exactly remember where I got it, but I remember my mom picked it up and I immediately started listening to it in the car. It's called Peter and the Werewolf. One side is a story, and the other side is just spooky sound effects.
Once upon a Halloween, in a small town, not unlike yours, there lived a little lad called Peter, who had a pressing problem.
The A side tells the story of a little boy named Peter, who doesn't have a costume for the upcoming Halloween parade. He goes over to a neighbor's house, but it's really spooky. He hears all sorts of screaming and witches cackling and zombies moaning. It turns out it's just his neighbor celebrating Halloween in style. The neighbor works as a special effects whiz on B-movies. He introduces his son to Peter and they become friends. He also lends Peter a werewolf mask. I love this tape so much. It brings back that warm and cozy feeling I felt all those years ago. The Halloween spirit is a feeling. It's something we have to recreate every year. It's something that if we want it to keep existing, we have to pass it down to the next generation. You know, sometimes you'll find that spirit in the present, sometimes you'll find it in the past. Either way, I hope you have a great Halloween this year. Comment down below with your favorite Halloween memory. I'm sure a lot of people would love to reminisce, and maybe it'll inspire this year's festivities. As always, I'll see you next time.
Alright, let's go follow. Scotty Bum.